Hi, Stephen from Omen. I've tested several 15-inch laptops with the new 6-core i7-8750H in it, but not a 17-inch. So today I'm taking a look at the Asus G703GS. It's supplied by Hidevolution. So you can get the GS model like this one with a GTX 1070 for about $2,200, or the GI model with the GTX 1080 for $2,800. The GI can also be configured with an overclockable i9 for $3,700, and if any laptop can cool that sucker, then this baby can. Now both come with a 1080p IPS level 144Hz G-Sync display with 16GB of RAM, which is expandable to 64. Now what sets these desktop replacements apart are the storage options. You get 3 M.2 PCI Express slots and a 2.5-inch bay. At Hidevolution you can buy the stock configurations, but if you're going this route, I recommend taking advantage of their customization options, which include personal laser engraving, display calibration, dead pixel warranties, as well as repasting options. You can also actually take out a 4-year global warranty, which is perfect if you live overseas. Now during my testing with Far Cry 5, I was getting some dips in frame rate, so I forced maximum performance in the NVIDIA power settings and the issue went away. Now performance was good and this game looked great on this fast 17-inch display. Temperatures were also great, and as you can see, we get a nice bump in performance over a GTX 1060. In Overwatch it ran great, but I wasn't seeing the performance numbers I expected out of a GTX 1070. The GPU was being well utilized, close to 99%, and temperatures were in the low 70s, but it was about 10% behind my Helios 300 with a GTX 1060. Now this is possibly because we are more CPU dependent at 1080p. In Battlefield 1 multiplayer, I would generally be in about 80 to 90 FPS range with dips into the 60s. Again, temperatures would be in the 70s for both the CPU and the GPU. And measuring single player performance, we were pretty much identical to the G703GS with the i7-7820HK CPU and 10% behind a GTX 1080 notebook, so that is definitely more in line with what we would expect. In PUBG, we see good performance with no stutters. We get cool temperatures and good GPU utilization. This is using ultra settings, and 85 FPS is pretty much what you would expect. A GTX 1060 would give you around about 60 FPS. A GTX 1080 would give 127 FPS, so in this game there is quite a gap. Rise of the Tomb Raider had no problems either. Great temperatures and everything was nice and smooth. 111 FPS is great, particularly when you pair this with the 144Hz display. You can see the benefit over the GTX 1060 Helios 300. Fortnite, epic settings, we are constantly over 100 FPS with temperatures in the low 70s. I averaged 115 FPS and with an overclock 121. You don't need a GTX 1080 model for this game at 1080p. So let's summarize the gaming temperatures. With the auto fan, the CPU maxed at 80 degrees, but averaged 69, and quite a decent average clock speed too. Cranking up the fan to the max, lowered temperatures by about 2 degrees Celsius, so I don't think it is really needed. Certainly not on my unit anyway, as both the CPU and the GPU are repasted with liquid metal. Now if you buy the stock configuration, you expect temperatures to be a little bit higher. But nonetheless, this laptop has great cooling. This is also replicated on the GPU, peaking at 71 degrees at the stock boost of about 1875 MHz and only going up to 73 degrees max when overclocked, boosting up to 1949 MHz. Look at the average temperatures, only 5 degrees separating them and the max. That is consistency. Cranking up the fan reduced the max temperatures by about 6 degrees, but again, it's not really needed on my unit. Asus does allow quick access to most things. Pull up the central flap, remove one screw and remove the cover. This gives you access to a spare M.2 slot, the hard drive, 2 spare RAM slots and the 2 occupied M.2 slots. To get access to the components for repasting, you have to remove more screws and take off this panel. Now Asus doesn't really want you to do this. You have to remove the hinge, you have to remove the hard drive which has an anti-tamper proof sticker on it, and remove all the M.2 drives. Now when you're inside here, you do have a 71 watt-hour battery, which is good for 2 hours 40 minutes of YouTube streaming at 25% brightness. And we have 2 speakers here. The GPU has 4 heat pipes leading to 2 large heat sinks, and the CPU has 3 heat pipes also going to 2 heat sinks. It's good to see large fans and 4 heat sinks. I really do like that. To change out the Wi-Fi card, you also need to remove the full back cover. You will also notice an integrated wireless Xbox module, allowing you to connect up to 8 Xbox controllers. Now, fan speed can be controlled via a button on the keyboard, or you can open up their gaming center software, again by pressing a single button and alter it there. You can choose between silent, balanced and overboost. Idle fan noise on quiet resulted in 28 decibels of noise. And I wouldn't actually call it quiet like you do with the Gigabyte laptops. There was definitely a slight whine sound. On balanced, under load, the fan noise goes up to 38 decibels, which is really good. You can still hear that slight whine noise, but it is okay. And expect 43 decibels with the overboost fan. Still, it's fairly quiet really, but as you saw only in my temperature chart, that liquid metal repasting does allow you to keep the balanced profile and still have quiet fans and good temperatures. The Gaming Center software also lets you monitor the CPU and the GPU frequencies and create up to 3 profiles with their own fan and keyboard lighting characteristics. You can also overclock the GPU using the extreme profile, and using Afterburner I didn't actually see that much increase, so Asus has this tuned quite nicely. You have access to Sonic Radar and Sonic Studio for your audio options, and using the Aurora option that's also available with a single key press, you can change the RGB key lighting. Choose from one of several patterns or customize as well as alter brightness and speed. The lighted keys look good and they look nice and bright at the max setting, and using the keyboard it is easy to reduce it if you desire. The palm rest feels really solid and is covered in a rubbery material. I do like that. The trackpad is equally as impressive. It's large and it utilizes Windows Precision drivers. The mouse buttons are great. They are large and have a texture to them. It's easy to activate them and they are silent. Now the keys have 2.5mm of travel. They feel nice. They've got nice spacing and are solid as a rock. There's no flex at all. You have a separate number pad and this get a big thumbs up from me. Up top you have quick access buttons for altering volume, microphone, Aura button, Xbox button and XSplit Gamecaster. And gaming on this keyboard was great. At no time did I accidentally press the touchpad and it never got too hot. The hottest part near the hinge only gets to about the mid 30 degrees Celsius mark. Underneath it does get a bit warm over the CPU area, but I don't expect people to be gaming on their lap much with this beast of a laptop. Gaming at a desk is where this baby is at, and the 144Hz IPS-like screen is great. Ghosting performance is also similar to my 120Hz TN panel, so you can't complain at that. At 310 nits it is reasonably bright, but it does show glare outside quite a bit. It has a solid build with the webcam up top and a very little screen flex. The webcam is only 720p, which is disappointing for this class of machine. But it's only 720p on such an expensive machine, but it seems okay. I was particularly impressed with the zero backlight bleed. Colours are crisp and sharp, making it fine for anyone wanting to use it for content creation too. I really like the aluminium lid. It reflects the light nicely, and there is something about that glowing ROG emblem that keeps me looking at it. It pulses different colours even when the laptop is asleep, as does the keyboard, and it's attention to small details like this that helps set the G703 apart. I also love the gold accents at the back. It is very stylish in my opinion. Port wise, you have a USB 3.1 Type A, HDMI 2, mini DisplayPort 1.4 and the power socket. On the left you get the Ethernet port, Thunderbolt 3, USB 3.1 Type A and a separate headphone microphone jack. On the right you get an SD card reader, which with an SD card inserted goes practically all the way in, with 2 more USB 3.1 Type A ports. Now some laptops scream gamer with red grills, but Asus has a more subtle approach with the G703 and it's much appreciated. Let's look at the general performance. With repeated runs of Cinebench and Heaven running, it scores about 900 points, so it multitasks quite well and pulls 238 watts from the wall. If you're into music mixing, it also handles real-time audio very well, and since it has a 32-bit HiFi DAC, Audio via headphones is great. The speakers are also great. It does actually have 4 speakers with 2 smaller ones up front, and indeed the sound does feel full, clear, and also quite loud at 82 decibels. With its good viewing angles, watching a movie on it was a joy. In Cinebench, it was comparable to other laptops with the same CPU, as was my Handbrake encode. You can see the benefit those extra 2 cores brings to the table over the outgoing i7-7700HQ. Using a software render on Adobe Premiere Pro to test the CPU, the G703 actually performs slightly better than the Helios 300 and Omen 15. So how would I sum up the Asus G703? It certainly is one of the most stylish desktop replacements I have seen. It has ample storage, it's got good connectivity options, its audio is also very good. The screen is fast and has decent colours, so it's good for work and play. Now I was actually really impressed with its cooling also. So if I was going to go with the i9 option, I would definitely go with perhaps a repasted option with preferably liquid metal. Now I'd like to thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.